Greetings, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe Online to many. This is going to be a different kind of video in that I normally cover programming projects or approaches to things, but this one is going to be sort of you can think of it as a podcast, I guess, about a subject that's important to a lot of people. It's important to me, and I wanted to just say something online about it, and that is the idea of sustainability as far as social responsibility goes, and the role that community members probably should be expected to have in that. So it's going to be a short video, not a lot to say about it, but there's a misconception, I think, about an important part of that whole conversation, and I wanted to bring it to light. So that is, there are people, predictably, for any big issue like that, who are on one side of the fence or the other regarding, for example, types of vehicles they're interested in or willing to purchase, things that impact obviously the climate and the economy, different personal preferences for carbon footprint and whatnot, and the whole subject. But sustainability is a bigger idea than just climate change and all of the things that we're experiencing. It's actually it's got pros and cons, and that's kind of what I want to bring to light. The pros are obvious. Sustainability policies and practices have the future in mind, right? Future generations, longevity, business, the ability to continue is literally what it means. So people look at that, I think there's a normal, natural dividing line between the camps, and that is people who kind of are family oriented versus people who are more individual, personal, like themselves oriented. And I'm not trying to be rude or call anybody out, but they're both valid perspectives. What's important to a person isn't really up to them. It's just, it's important for reasons that are centric to their life. But the people who are worried about sustainability, mainly, I think you find they have kids or they're planning to have kids or they have grandkids, especially, that there's concern about the future that doesn't necessarily have something to do with themselves. And really the main point I want to make is the other camp has a valid objection, I think, if anybody's legitimately in that camp who's, not so concerned about, buying an electric car or a tiny little car or no car at all. Somebody who feels comfortable perhaps getting, a gas guzzler, and it's a valid choice. It is. But the reason they object or reject arguments for sustainability is often a flawed communication. It's a communication error in that everything must be sustainable or the opposite. Well, it's more complex. Like most things, there's a range. There's degrees of sustainability, and it isn't complicated. The idea, there's actually a very direct and efficient way to analyze the problem. That's what I do in my work, is I analyze problems and come up with solutions. So for the problem of recommendations about sustainability that would be perhaps applicable to anyone, I think that we all begin from the wrong perspective, and it should be with an acknowledgement, if you will, that some things are not meant to be sustainable. So I think we should start with that. We should start with the idea that certain things are meant to be disposable, very temporary, and they are basically compromised or devalued by trying to make them sustainable. And that is a legitimate complaint by people who perhaps don't want to do that. So I think what the conversation about sustainability must include at the very beginning is what do people in general, members of society, need to agree on as far as what should be disposable, what should be temporary and unsustainable by design. And it's a whole bunch of stuff. It really is. and then we figure out a way to kind of, acknowledge that and maybe minimize it a little bit, and everything else, the conversation naturally departs to whatever that didn't include should be maximized as far as sustainability. And what you end up with after that whole big thing is a very clear, practical, accurate, sustainable roadmap that covers everybody's needs. So, to review, in summary, we need to begin with an understanding, agreement, and acknowledgement that sustainability does not touch everything, and it's not supposed to. The guy that has a gas car, he's not your enemy. Don't be breaking his window with rocks in as people are doing this. And some things aren't meant to last, and that's okay. Let's start with that. But everything else, let's not fly to an extreme. Everything else can be more sustainable. So, not trying to tell people what to do, but just an idea. So, not trying to sell you anything. Take it with a grain of salt. And have a good day. Thank you.